Hello. In one of the comments under one of my videos, and I'm sorry I can't lay my hands on it right now, a commentator said that there are two things that are about to happen with our personal vehicles, and the first is that we won't be allowed to own personal vehicles quite soon. And I looked that up, and indeed it looks like there is a movement afoot to do that, both in America and Britain, and probably in other countries as well, but that's going to have its own video because that's a heavy subject. And the other comment was that all British cars are fitted with trackers. So I thought that sounded interesting, and I did a bit of research and I found this, and this is from May 2014, and it didn't happen in Britain. I'm not sure whether it happened elsewhere in the EU as well, but I shall, well, a bit later on probably, I'll show you some documents that show that it's against the law in Britain, except for company vehicles, and there are restrictions around that as well. However, it looked like the EU was getting above itself at one point and wanted to put bugs in cars all the way through the EU, and according to this headline here, ministers admit they're powerless to stop Big Brother technology. Well, this was in 2014. In 2016, the British told the EU it could go and get stuffed, and obviously that doesn't, the ministers are now not powerless to stop this from happening if anyone suggested it. However, I don't think it even happened in the EU. I suppose it met a lot of technical difficulties. The excuse for the trackers was it's designed to help emergency services find vehicles in the event of a crash, which is all very well and good, except that there are many times when you are actually out of range, and the time when you are less likely to be seen in a crash is when you are out of range, for instance up a mountain or something like that. So it's actually a pretty obvious keep a track on your citizens type of strategy, rather than we're worried for your safety type of strategy. A lot of things nowadays seem to be restricting us on the grounds of the government, with the golden hearts they have, just trying to find ways to improve our safety, isn't it? But I'll just read this from 2014 because I want to point something out to you. Under EU plans, every new car will have a black box. The gadget will have a SIM card in it, designed to help emergency vehicles find you. Government believes the device will add at least £100 to the cost of cars. Well, you know, with cars costing tens of thousands of pounds, I don't think £100 is much, really. Officials, and not just officials, anyone with any sense, also fear it could be used to monitor motorists' moves, and all new car models will have to include eCall device from October 2015. That is a button you push and that will put you straight through to the emergency services. It's all nonsense, and it didn't happen, and it didn't happen for a particular reason, I think, and not because the EU didn't want to install stuff in the car, but because they knew we already had trackers which we carried around with us all the time, and those trackers look like this. Yeah, don't they? This tells the phone company where I am all the time, even when it's switched off. You know, those you have a program that will tell you where your phone is, even when you can't find it, even if it's not ringing or even if it's off. It's constantly telling the company where they are. So all the police have to do to track you is to ask the phone company where you are. Okay, so I'm afraid if you're worried about a tracker in your car, you should be more concerned about a tracker in your handbag or your trouser pocket or whatever. Right, this article, despite serious concerns about privacy and cost, UK ministers admit they're powerless to stop the Big Brother technology being forced on motorists and car makers. So you see, Britain didn't have the ability to fight that EU idea. I think the EU gave up only because it realised that it didn't need to do that. And I'm very surprised that the Brexit campaign didn't actually talk about this, because this idea would be fresh in the minds of everybody at the time about how the EU was keeping an eye on its citizens. But in Britain you can't track cars. You can track fleet cars, you know, company cars, but the driver has to know there's a tracker in there, and it's used for estimating hours put in, hours a lorry driver is allowed to work, and all that sort of thing. I shall now just run here, and if you're interested you can pause the video. I shall run a little piece I found about the legality of tracking cars. So we know this isn't happening, but as I said, it's not necessary. Doesn't that make you feel all safe and warm now? Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo, with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com, and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.